I should have just gone up on that stage and sung anything, goddammit.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, wait a second, Wayne. This man is killing himself to protect you.
And I'm protecting you. Protect me from what? Why don't you ask him?
What thing, Wayne?
Ask him why the army locked him up in that psychiatric hospital. Yes, it's true. Why don't you tell him?
Huh? You told him? You said that? What on earth are you saying?
He is a killer, and I would be out of my mind to let a psycho, an idiot like him, seduce you.
Who's the crazy one here?
You don't seem to get it. Just name the place. And remember to bring bags of ice and some sedatives.
My gym, in 30 minutes. And if I were you, I would get ready for a hospital bed.
Casey, stay here. This won't take long.
Show me. This is going to get good.
Who's been talking trash on me?
You messed with the champion. You're gonna learn why I am.
We open the film with our protagonist, a retired former Special Forces sergeant who serves in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as a consequence of the armed confrontations, he suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. Now we are introduced to the antagonist, a mobster and rapper who has a personal conflict with the boxing champion, who retires undefeated in all his fights and eager to get out of prison. Singletary is seen watching one of Barkley's fights. After his last fight, the boxing champion uses his earnings to invest in his hometown neighborhood, starting with several fast food restaurants and continuing with shopping centers. Then he builds multiple movie theaters and some office buildings, and the income produced by his neighborhood investment gives him the opportunity to demolish abandoned slums and replace them with affordable housing. While the champion is discussing a neighborhood renovation, his sister appears very upset and asks him to watch the news. It turns out that Singletary is about to be released. His release is approved at the parole hearing. The rap mogul is sentenced to 10 years for extortion, money laundering, and witness intimidation among other charges, but due to his excellent behavior and his contributions to numerous charities during his 18 months in prison, the board commutes his sentence to parole. Wayne mentions that the prosecutor assures them he would not get out in less than 8 years. To which Tamara replies that he manages to get parole thanks to his lawyers. For her brother, there will be no problem. He cannot hide for the rest of his life, and if Singletary tries to humiliate him, he will be back in prison in less than 24 hours. The head of security tells him that it is not about that. Singletary is known for ordering the killing of anyone who dishonors his name. Once he is released, they will stop monitoring his calls. They will not be able to listen to his conversations with his lawyers. He will control the streets and will seek revenge against the man who sent him to prison. His sister recommends that he seek protection, and Wayne tells her again that it is not necessary. That is the reason why he pays Mullins. To the champion's surprise, his head of security advises him to listen to his sister. He needs additional protection. Barkley tells them he will not allow himself to be intimidated, and if Singletary wants trouble, he will be waiting for him in his office. Later, we see the rapper being released. Outside the prison, several reporters are trying to interview him, and despite his associates' attempts to separate them, the reporters manage to get close and ask him about the champion, to which Singletary replies that he is grateful for his help to the community. At this stage of his life, he must know how to forgive and forget what happened, and there is no reason to hold grudges. Meanwhile, in the office, Mullins shows Tamara a photo of his sergeant major. He is a man with many contacts among veteran soldiers. He might know someone suitable to work in the shadows, and the Pentagon entrusted him with primary security in Afghanistan, where he was responsible for protecting generals. In the next scene, we see Clarence talking to our protagonist, who must prepare for a new mission. On the other hand, the rapper arrives at his mansion and is welcomed by his crew, and upon opening the door, the first thing he mentions is his plan for revenge. He will turn the city into a war zone. No one will be able to ridicule him and get away with it. Leonard tries to convince him not to seek trouble, and if the defense attorney discovers his revenge plan, he will go back to prison. When speaking with a boxing champion's sister, Clarence introduces himself along with his friend as possible candidates for bodyguards. Tamara makes it clear that this is not an easy job. Their opponent is not trying to humiliate him but to hurt him. Her brother does not understand that his life is at risk, and he needs men who work like invisible guardian angels. As night falls, the champion attends a concert where we see Philip and Clarence protecting him from a distance. Due to the lights, the noise, and the pyrotechnic explosions, the veteran begins to have war flashbacks. He crosses paths with Barkley and spills a couple's drinks, and to avoid losing control, he decides to step outside to take care of the exterior. Because of this, the veteran notices some suspicious individuals watching from afar, but since he does not know the profile of all the mobster's associates, he overlooks it and continues his duties. When the siblings are about to get into the truck, the men return, and our protagonist notices in time. He draws his weapon and counters the attack, preventing them from shooting their target. The gang members try to flank them from the right, but the bodyguards neutralize the driver. They crash into a taxi, and the veteran approaches to eliminate the remaining attackers. And as a result of the confrontation, his partner ends up dying from a gunshot to the neck. Some time later, the veterans, including the siblings, say goodbye to the sergeant major, paying tribute to his service. Our protagonist mentions that he is still alive thanks to Clarence. A couple of years ago, he saved his life as well as many of his comrades in combat, and he served his country and protected his friends until the end. At the conclusion of the funeral, the siblings approach to offer their condolences. Wayne thanks him for saving his life, and suddenly the lieutenant along with a police officer approaches to arrest the veteran. The siblings do not understand what is happening, and the lieutenant explains that it is about the incident that night. He violated the municipal weapons permit. The head of security tells him that his staff already took his statement and released him, to which he replies that he does not have a license to carry the weapon with which he killed 3 civilians. Philip mentions that Clarence told him he had taken care of everything. The siblings say it was self-defense, and instead of arresting an innocent man, they should arrest the man who tried to kill her brother. Despite this, the lieutenant remains firm in his decision, and Wayne informs him that his lawyers will contact his department to secure his release. Before leaving, the lieutenant hands him his card and tells him to call him personally. Meanwhile, at the mansion, the gangster is throwing a party, when suddenly some members of the gang he sent to assassinate the former boxer appear to inform him that the mission is a failure, and to prevent his nephew from realizing that he tried to kill Wayne, Singletary decides to call one of his girls to entertain him. Away from the party, Singletary reprimands the gang for having failed. He paid them a lot of money to take care of his enemy, but he is still alive, and the mobster's associate stabs one of them and begins cutting him up to feed the dogs. The gang leader tells him that he knows the woman Wayne was with on the night of the incident. Her name is Lydia. She supplied him with substances when she was an addict, and she owes him many favors. When he looks for her again to have sex, they will be waiting to complete the mission, and Singletary tells them he'll give them time, but if they take too long, they will become fresh meat for his dogs. A few hours later, we see our protagonist leaving the precinct. The siblings' lawyers manage to get him out the same day. Tamara tells him they will stop by the clinic to pick up his belongings. From now on, he will live with them. He should not worry about space. She tells him that that night was only a test they passed with honors. Her brother wants the position to be permanent, and he will be in charge of leading the entire security team. Meanwhile, Barkley is summoned to the lieutenant's precinct to be given confidential information. The former boxer's bodyguards try to accompany him, but the lieutenant stops them, saying they cannot go with him. They have nothing to worry about. There is no safer place in the city. Once in his office, he shows him a report related to his new bodyguard. The veteran develops psychological problems that manifest in Afghanistan and has his breakdown in Iraq. There is a civilian massacre in Mosul where the bodies of many children are found. The news outlets do not have the full story, but he discovers that Philip is responsible for the massacre. He kills many civilians without anyone's help. According to military psychologists, he is a ticking time bomb. prior to his medical discharge, he is locked up in the psychiatric ward. The army fears he is too dangerous to be left on the streets. He says he only wants to help him. He is one of his biggest admirers. He shows him a tape of his fights and asks for an autograph, and tells him he is sharing the information because he would not like it to weigh on his conscience. Returning to our protagonist, Tamara shows him the house and offers him a drink. The veteran tells her he had problems with alcohol and prefers to have some water. Then Tamara invites him to play a game of pool. While they play, she asks if he has family, and Philip replies that Clarence and some of the guys at the funeral are his family. A couple of minutes later, her brother appears and finds them watching one of his fights. The veteran takes the opportunity to tell him they must clarify some things before working together. The men who were protecting him at the funeral are not performing their duties properly. Once his team is established, he must send them back to the gym they come from. He does not want rookies on his team. And if he is going to lead the security team, he wants it to be a lethal force. To begin recruiting his team, Barkley takes him to the gym where he learned to box, which he now owns. He is implementing changes to modernize it. They will spend the morning observing to see if they hire anyone. The veteran tells him they need to speak in private. He says he will not recruit just anyone, and Wayne tells him that his team will work with his men. The veteran tells him that was not the agreement, and the former boxer replies that he must understand. He is the one signing the checks. He dictates how the actions will be carried out. Philip tells him he knows, and he has just decided he will not be part of his team. The head of security stops him and tells him that Barkley knows the men, some he has known for years. He must trust them, and Philip replies that he cannot do his job and babysit rookies at the same time. Barkley stands up and tells him that everyone was a rookie at some point. When he entered the gym, the coach saw his potential, and he would like him to give his men a chance. The veteran agrees and puts several fighters to the test. A black belt karate practitioner catches his attention. He also has knowledge of other martial arts. The reason he was not on his security team is his height, and for the veteran, not drawing attention is a good thing. His enemies will not think he is his bodyguard. When a woman steps into the ring, Philip says he will call one of his friends to give him the gym's location. Mullen says he will stop the training, and our protagonist replies that it is not necessary. He does not want a woman on the security team. Jesse asks him to give her a test, and the veteran ends up agreeing. He lets her hit him and is surprised by her attacks. He tells her she is a candidate and will start training tomorrow as a bodyguard. When he notices his partner has arrived, he tells them he will be one of their instructors, and they can call him Sergeant Kesey. After selecting some members, they go out running with the sergeant. Then they put into practice a scenario simulating an attack. They repeat it several times and move on to target practice. Both explain the correct weapon stance, and when Jessie sees our protagonist's accuracy, she asks if he killed many people. Philip recalls the war again, and we see him advancing while neutralizing several enemies. As night falls, Tamara waits for him at the house with a glass of water. Then she asks if the interrogations bother him, and Philip replies that he has no problem with them. Tamara mentions that his partner said something about children. The veteran tells her that happened during a confrontation. They were both tracking terrorists. One of them entered a school full of children. Philip falls silent and avoids the subject by talking about the weather. Tamara understands and tells him she is worried about tomorrow. There will be a sports complex opening with many visitors, including the mayor. She asks if the team is ready, and the veteran replies that he cannot assure anything. He is still waiting for some of his friends to join the team. He asks her not to worry and recommends she get some rest. Tamara takes his advice and says goodbye affectionately with a kiss on the cheek. And in the background, we see Wayne watching from above. While driving around the roundabout, the veteran sees someone running through the bushes. He surprises him climbing up a rock, but it turns out to be Wayne. Philip asks him what he is doing, and he replies that he is going out for a walk with Kuyo. He is going to see a beautiful girl. Tamara thinks it is bad for his image, and the veteran tells him he will accompany him to his destination. None of the rookies are ready to go alone, and he will not go unless it is with him. As they head to their destination, Barkley asks him about his sister. They were having drinks, and he saw that she gave him a kiss. Philip replies that it was just a kiss on the cheek. He is his commanding officer, and she is the second officer, and he does not fraternize with his superiors. When they arrive at the girl's house, we see her on a call informing them of Wayne's arrival. Apparently, the gang made her believe they are admirers. They lied to her, saying they only want an autograph. Barkley orders his bodyguards to stay outside. The veteran tells him there is an alley behind the house, and he should check it to make sure there is no danger. His boss tells him it is not necessary and that they must stay in the car watching the area. Despite this, our protagonist decides to walk around the residence. At that moment, the gang appears and they spot Kuyo. He quickly tries to call his boss, but he cannot hear anything because of the loud music. As he moves through the streets, the veteran sees the gang's vehicle. He quickly hides and sees the men getting out with long guns, and they mention that if the man they saw in the car comes closer, he will be a dead man. When the gang leaves, Philip calls his partner and asks him to contact Sergeant Kesey. He must give him the location, so he comes immediately. After having sex with Lydia, the gang appears and takes them to the back, and at that moment the veteran appears to save him. He grabs one of them, but another points a gun at his back, forcing him to drop the weapon. Wayne struggles for the gun, and they pull the trigger, something our protagonist takes advantage of to neutralize the gang. After knocking them out, the rest of the bodyguards arrive with the remaining gang members. Wayne orders them to shoot them, but the veteran tells them not to. They will serve as evidence to prove that Singletary violated his parole. The next day at the sports complex celebration, Philip tells him he needs to tell him something he will not like, and Barkley refuses to listen. He does not want bad news before going out in public. Philip decides to talk to Tamara and tells her that her brother should not go out to give the speech. Maybe she could replace him. Barkley hears the conversation and assures them he will give the speech. And he does not have time to keep arguing. A couple of minutes later, the mayor arrives at the complex. Then the former boxer comes out to give his speech. When he sees the children in the crowd, the veteran begins to have war flashbacks. Then he notices a possible suspect acting strangely. He informs the others and asks them to approach the subject to keep him under control. Just as he is about to pull something from his jacket, the bodyguards neutralize him, and the others secure the siblings. Once the situation is secured, the lieutenant realizes that the subject is not a threat. He was only about to answer a call from his mother, but what they do not know is that they are actually wrong, since they do not realize he is the mobster's right hand. Singletary calls him, and he tells him he could not do anything. The bodyguards were watching him the entire time. They will have to move on to the second plan. Furious and thinking they made a mistake, the former boxer reprimands them, saying they ruined his moment. His sister asks him to calm down. His bodyguards are risking their lives to protect him. Barkley tells her that he is also protecting her. He is protecting her from Philip. She must ask him why the army locked him up in a psychiatric hospital. He accuses him of being a killer and tells her that a psychopath is trying to seduce her. When Tamara walks away, the veteran resigns from his job permanently. They challenge each other to a fight, and Philip advises him to bring ice packs and some sedatives for the end of the fight. Without wasting much time, they head to the gym, and the security team stays outside waiting, thinking the veteran has no chance of winning, and some of them place bets saying it will be easy money. The champion steps into the ring, and the veteran tells him he does not want to fight with rules. They must fight without gloves. The fight begins, and our protagonist lands 2 powerful blows. The champion is surprised and tells him he did not expect it to be interesting. They resume the fight, and the veteran knocks him down again with a punch to the jaw. Wayne gets up enraged and lands 2 attacks that break his nose. He tells him that he just messed with the champion, and now he will know why he has won. They trade blows evenly and begin grappling on the ground. They grab each other by the neck, and just when one of them is about to pass out, the bodyguards interrupt the fight to inform them that Tamara was attacked. Jesse is badly injured in the hospital. They rush to the hospital and try to get information about what happened. Jesse gives them the description of one of the men. He was tall with a scar on his face. Philip senses it is the man from the sports complex. Jesse tells them that Tamara was kidnapped. She tried to defend her, but there were too many men, and she has not reported it to the police yet. The veteran asks her not to do it. If they try to question her, she must say she does not remember anything. Barkley is confused by his decision, and Philip tells him they took his sister because they want him. They will use her as bait. If he calls the police, his sister's life could be in danger, and they would also have to leave evidence, and the situation would repeat itself. They have to end the problem at the root. Suddenly, the lieutenant appears at the hospital to question the bodyguard. To avoid answering the questions, Jessie pretends she cannot speak. Without any information, the lieutenant asks about Tamara, and the team begins to suspect him, accusing him of knowing something. The lieutenant tells them he only guessed based on the circumstances. They ran out of the center, and he assumed Jessie was with Tamara. And if they do not know anything about her, he will issue an alert to search for her. As they get into the car, Barkley tells him that it was the lieutenant who told him he was crazy. He said that one day he snapped and killed many innocents. The veteran tells him it is true that he had post-traumatic stress problems and was hospitalized in Virginia under therapy, but he never killed anyone who did not want to kill him. The news everyone talked about was actually caused by terrorists with bombs on their bodies. That day, he could do nothing to stop them. 20 children died because of it. According to some news outlets, a crazy American was responsible for their deaths. At that time, he agreed with them and felt guilty for what happened. After that, he had a breakdown and was sent back to his command. He was kept under observation, and the rest of the story he already knows. Once the story is clarified, Barkley tells him what happened with Singletary. 15 years ago, when he was just starting out, Singletary offered him a lot of money to throw a fight. It was his first professional job, so he rejected the offer. He won the fight, and a few nights later, a vehicle arrived at his house, and his younger brother was murdered. He was shot 10 times and died on the curb, and no one ever stopped the person responsible. 5 years ago, he found evidence that Singletary was laundering money from illegal substances through a local bank. When the prosecutor's office questioned him, he revealed his evidence, and they ended up putting him in prison. Suddenly, Lydia calls him to say she needs to tell him something important in person. He must not come with anyone, especially with the new bodyguard. Knowing something is wrong, Wayne tells her he'll be there in 30 minutes. They plan something quickly, and when they arrive at the location, Barkley sees the lieutenant cooperating with the gang. He tells him again that he is only his admirer and is trying to get him a deal. Singletary is only offering him peace. As a sign of goodwill and reconciliation, Singletary has invited him to his mansion. The gang members will provide transportation and security. When he asks about his bodyguard, a blackout occurs, and they begin to attack the gang members. Once the situation is under control, Wayne punches the lieutenant several times. They then head to the mobster's house, bypassing security by pretending to be part of the gang. As they cross the gate, the veterans come out of the trunk. Upon entering the garage, they draw their weapons and point them at the gang. Simcoe asks his men to lower their weapons and says he will use the intercom to inform his boss that they have arrived. Meanwhile, we see the veterans infiltrating the house. Singletary asks his men to accompany him, and his nephew will stay behind guarding the hostage. When left alone, Leonard apologizes to Tamara for what happened. He removes the handcuffs and tells her he only wants to help. Suddenly, the veterans appear to rescue Tamara. When speaking to the former boxer, Barkley asks them to drop their weapons, or he will end the lieutenant's life. Singletary tells him it is very hard to find people like him, and then proceeds to shoot him. A shootout begins, and the veterans contact Mullins to inform him that Tamara is safe. Seeing all his men falling, the mobster's right hand decides to abandon the fight. The bodyguards chase them and leave Wayne alone with Singletary. He asks him to stop and leaves his weapons in the vehicle. He tells him he knows who is responsible for his brother's death. When he gets close, he pulls out a gun and shoots him in the arm. He confesses that he killed his brother and says that now he will kill him. At that moment, his nephew appears with a gun asking him to stop. They must find another way to solve their problems. Meanwhile, the veterans continue fighting and Casey is shot in the leg. They manage to take cover and Philip asks him to watch his back. Our protagonist advances and neutralizes most of his rivals. Returning to Wayne, the mobster shoots his nephew and the champion takes advantage to attack him. He delivers several blows until the mobster grabs a tool and strikes him on his injured arm. Elsewhere, our protagonist is surprised by the mobster's right hand. The veteran applies a hold and throws him into the cage of hungry dogs. As he regains control of the fight, one of the mobster's thugs joins in aiming a weapon at him. At that moment, our protagonist re-enters the confrontation and the thug tries to shoot him. Although the veteran manages to neutralize him, Singletary takes advantage and shoots him. Barkley strikes him and throws him under the elevator, then releases the vehicle to end his life. As he approaches to help the veteran, he realizes he is still alive thanks to wearing a bulletproof vest. When the ambulances arrive, Mullins and Casey receive medical assistance. Internal Affairs inform them that the lieutenant was under investigation, and Barkley was not the only one being watched. At that moment, Lydia appears worried about Barkley, and they embrace, while Tamara gives our protagonist a kiss on the cheek.